Welcome to Season 1 of the PMO Community Podcast series. I'm Aina Live, and today I'm excited to host another insightful conversation in our series as a part of the Book Writing Challenge, which is focused on the evolution of PMOs and the rise of the Chief Project Officer. I am honored to welcome Sheeba Hasnain, a trailblazer in digital transformation and project management. Sheeba has an impressive 18-year career in the IT industry, holding various leadership positions, including Senior Digital Transformation Leader, Head of IT Operations, and Channel Account Manager. Her exceptional expertise in strategic planning, team leadership, and project management has allowed her to lead large teams through complex IT projects, delivering innovative solutions that align with business objectives. Sheeba is also the recipient of prestigious awards, including Women in IT and Business 2022, Visionary Women in AI 2022, and the CICO Award 2021. Her extensive knowledge in strategic IT operations and project leadership makes her a vital contributor to our book on the evolution of PMOs. And in today's episode, we will dive into several very thought-provoking topics, such as the genesis of project management offices and how they have evolved from early models to modern-day strategic entitles, the impact of project management standards like PMIs, PMBOK Guide, and Prince2 on PMO evolution. Also, we will dive into how Sheeba navigated challenges such as resistance to change and lack of standardization in the early days of PMO development. Her insights into demonstrating the ROI of PMOs and establishing effective KPIs to measure PMO success. And we will talk about a case study on the evolution of a PMO in a multinational firm based in UAE from its early stages to strategic transformation. Stay tuned as Sheeba shares her valuable insights on the challenges and successes of PMO evolution, offering practical advice on how organizations can continue to evolve their PMO strategies for greater success. Hi Sheeba, how are you doing?
Hi Anna, I'm fine, thanks.
I'm excited to start the conversation with you about PMO, knowing your background and also being collaborating together for the last 9 months.
That's great to talk, and hopefully we would have great takeaways for today's conversation.
So let's get it started. And what inspired you to explore the genesis of PMOs and their evolution in your chapter contribution?
Basically, my curiosity stemmed from seeing how PMO have increasingly become the backbone for organizational strategy. I was fascinated, Anna, by how different organizations approached project management and how they evolved their PMO to meet emerging needs. Recently, I recall a conversation with a PMO leader at a global financial firm who shared how and when their PMO was first established, and it was just a project tracking department. But by the time they made dramatic change with the help of PMO, and it has become a crucial component of their strategy because this department they now use to align their strategic goals with the project management. So that's how I have seen the transformation in their company, in their organization, and it feels like why not we work in the same direction. So that's how it came in my mind.
That is a great insight. Why to create another bicycle if we can already use what they have and continue working with the best practices. In your research, you trace the origins of PMOs back to the mid-20th century. So can you tell us a little bit more about these first instances of PMOs and how they were initially structured and how they were evolved?
It was very interesting to write the genesis of PMO because it gave me an opportunity to read a lot of case studies and all. And I have analyzed and evaluated that in 1950s and 60s, PMO were largely seen in industries like defense and aerospace, where large scale and complex projects were more formalized oversight. So I have also gone through one case study from NASA Apollo program. This Apollo PMO was designed to ensure timelines, budget, and safety protocol just for those reasons. But it had remarkable outcomes, and it was there they have seen the necessity to coordinate massive efforts across teams. So when these outcomes started coming up, they have realized that how PMO is helping them to structure the whole project outcome. But those times we were not having any type of tools or some softwares. But now if we compare, nowadays we have many softwares and tools, where these tools, I feel that they are aligning our strategies in a great way, and that's where the alignment starts. So that's how I see the great potential within the PMO, and there are more to come up.
I'm so excited to see what we are going to have when we evolve AI and use it more broadly in our PMO offices in like another 6 or 12 months. But right now, let's focus on the roles of the PMOs. And you mentioned in your chapter that PMOs have shifted from focusing on project execution to becoming a strategic entity. How did this shift towards strategic alignment transform the role of the modern PMOs?
I would take an example in my own organization. We have initiated PMO to focus on just for tracking projects, and but as the company evolved, we have seen the changing role of the PMO. We began to focus on aligning projects with corporate strategy now. And by the time we have realized, there was one strategic project which was digital transformation project for the core business model. So when that project came up in the picture, we have found that by integrating projects with strategic business objectives, we were not only helped organization to save $1 million, but also we could unlock new revenue streams. So that's how, when strategic goals, corporate strategies are aligned with the projects, we can not be PMO cannot just be the cost center, but PMO can be used as a value generator, as a governing department in the organization.
I want to re-emphasize for our audience that PMO is not a cost center anymore. It's a value
Yeah.
streamed part of our organization. I really want to emphasize that it's value stream, not just a cost center. And in your book, again, you talked about the PMO guidance and the Prince 2. So the emergence of project management standards like PMI's PMBOK guide and Prince 2 were pivotal in the PMO evolution. So how did these frameworks influence organizations adopting PMO practices?
That's a very important question, by the way. Uh, I have gone through my personal experience, as well as I would take an example of British Airways case studies, which I have gone through. And based on this particular case studies, I have found that British Airways adopted Prince 2 in 1990s. Okay, and later to it, they transformed the way their approach of adopting Prince 2 transformed the way airline approached project management. Okay, so before that, projects were handled in more ad hoc manner, and it was project department was used only for delays and efficiency and project tracking manner. But with Prince 2, we could find that British Airways was able to standardize processes, making it easier to make complex initiatives, and especially during mergers and acquisitions, they found approaches and standards in Prince 2 were very useful. Moving ahead, this shift also allowed British Airways to set up PMO with no longer just an administrative function, but a PMO can be used as a driver for change in the organization. So, such case studies are the great source of motivation and a ready example for the organizations to adopt the methodology in PMBOK and PMI Prince 2 and accordingly get the greater outcomes and ROI for their organizations.
Thank you for bringing up such important cases, and I will provide a link to our audience after the interview, so guys, you can also study these cases, and I definitely will right after we finish this podcast. But moving on to another very important question, at least from my opinion, about resistance to change. So resistance to change is highlighted as an early challenge for PMOs. And what strategy helped organizations to overcome this resistance? And how do you think this can be learned, like as lessons learned, and apply into the modern world?
I would say that resistance to change is the nature of human. So we know about it. However, when we talk about the organizational change, we get more visible resistance in the organization that is evident. And in my personal experience, I have found that when we established PMO department, uh, although people were happy that there will be more better timelines, more better communications, and but still when we were trying to uh, implement or adopt certain new methodologies, we have found too much resistance from our employees. So that's how resistance to change is always there. But the breakthrough came when we have demonstrated quick wins. We started getting quick wins, and for the tangible benefits which we have received, and we reduced certain budget constraints and all through our uh, better collaboration with different departments. People started seeing us as a valuable department. Our credibility and trust started gaining in overall organization. So that's how by giving others to chance to talk and listen to them, and instead of just showing up that we are a governing department, we can show up we are a assistance, we are a added assistance to them. That's how we can help to mitigate resistance to change.
I really love your answer. And again, I want to emphasize for the audience quick wins, like the demonstration of quick wins. This is always something what inspires people to move forward and overcome the challenge. Because as Shiba said, resistance to change is in our human nature. All of us are resistant to change. I'm an agile coach, so I'm leading change, but I'm also resistant to change. And I can bring up the example when we were moving to another floor, and I was resistant because my desk were moving as well, and I wouldn't have such a great spot as I was having at the current spot. And one of my colleagues pointed out to me, like, you are actually the one who is the most resistant to change of moving to another floor because you are afraid to lose your comfort zone. And it was an eye-opening for me. Like, I'm leading change and I am demonstrating a totally different behavior. So very important topic.
Yeah.
Shiba, you also mentioned about the metrics such as ROI and KPIs. So what are some KPIs and metrics that you've seen work best in measuring the value of PMOs?
Actually, KPIs such as project success rate, uh, time to be in the market, cost savings. These are some of the crucial AIs which can help department to portray their value in within the organization and externally also. So I would take an example like our PMO improved project delivery time by 30% over 2 years. So we have seen that many projects were delayed due to miscommunication, and departments doesn't want to share information, and there was less transparency between the status and all. So being in between, I have seen that the core importance for the project whole project life cycle is the delivery of the project on time. If project is not delivered on time, there is no use. Okay, so that's how the importance of time is very important, and as we know, time is money. So, if we mitigate the risk related to the time durations and all, so we have seen that throughout the year, 30% of the deliveries were done early. Okay, this is one of the greatest ROI. We also able to track resource utilization. We were able to allocate correct resources at the right time. So that's where also we can save significant costs in the organization. So if you are able to show the cost and where the money is being saved, of course, it demonstrates your value for the organization. So just we are not a PMO is not a cost consuming, but we generate revenue through our strategies and methodologies within the organization.
And let's move on to the case study you included in the chapter, despite you already provided us a few. Still, I am curious to hear more about that one, about the multinational firms that had PMO evolution. So, can you walk us through the stages of this evolution and maybe the key successes along the way?
Let's take an example of one case study for Siemens. Their project journey started with basic project tracking, as I have given you my organization example. So, just project tracking, and it evolved into a strategic enabler of digital transformation. Initially, PMO focused on improving project completion rate. Then later, by the time the as the company embraced digitalization, PMO played a crucial role in steering cross-functional initiatives such as implementation of high-end projects, critical projects like IoT solutions, and other manufacturing plants. So, moving ahead, the PMO helped organizations to ensure that these initiatives stayed aligned with corporate strategy, because when an organization is ready to pay millions of dollars for a project, they must also have a surety that these projects are aligned with their corporate strategy, which is driving their organization across the globe. We also were able to reduce duplication of efforts and what time we have to execute our strategies. So these are the some areas where if we work out one by one through the help of PMO, we can have better competitive advantage in the market. And that's how I have found in different case studies also. The organizations who have adopted PMO strategies, they search their growth uh, in the market.
And to finish this amazing interview, I would like us to look to the future. And Shiva, how do you see the role of the PMOs continuing to evolve, and particularly with advancement in digital transformation and global standards?
Basically, in early days, PMO didn't have that type of luxury which we have nowadays. In 1980s and 90s, we were using Excel sheets and manual tracking for PMO. However, then Microsoft projects are evolved. We are working on Microsoft projects, but very big organizations, they are working on Jira and other tools, these tools are giving them better ROIs and returns. So that's how we have seen that transition from manual reporting to advanced project softwares. This is a kind of a dramatic shift which has improved project performance, and same time it has allowed more effective resource planning across the globe, especially for multinational projects. So, for multinational projects, PMO plays a more valuable role. Although for every organization, I emphasize that PMO is must, even it is a growing organization or established well. However, I have seen a greater role for multinational organizations where multilinguistic people are there, their time zones are different, their mentality are different, and how they behave is different. That time global PMO management, or you can say this management office, if understands the psyche of people, they really help projects to move faster.
And again, to emphasize the importance of seeing and understanding that multinational people have different mindsets, have different rules. People can show like the way that they're polite or they respect you in different ways. And unfortunately, not many leaders recognize this and include in their planning. So that is another importance of having PMO office. So the leaders can educate the employees about these issues. And thank you much, Sheeba, for joining us today. I really hope to see you again in the near future.
Sure.
It was a pleasure talking to you. And thank you all for tuning in to the PMO Community Podcast for this enlightening discussion with Sheeba Hasnain. And don't forget to follow us on social media to stay updated. If you find this episode valuable, please remember to like and share it. And feel free to reach out to me, INA Live, on LinkedIn with any questions or requests. And for all of the latest updates, make sure to follow us on social media such as LinkedIn, Spotify, Apple Podcast, Podbean. Thank you.